All right, welcome back to the County Gamers. My name's Aaron.
Nope. This is Nerds by Screenlight.
Screenlight, dang it.
You got to keep that in. That's funny.
Oh, man. I am
Like I'm on the wrong podcast. The
Well,
non-gamer in the
that's
room.
it. Gonna close it down. Shut her down. Be done. No, yeah, this...
Didn't even catch it.
Thank you. This is Nerds by Screenlight. My name is Aaron.
I'm Phil.
And I'm Zoe.
I'm Vicki.
And here we go. All right, so the question that we've decided to ask ourselves on the Nerds by Screenlight podcast, not the other one, is what is your favorite movie franchise? And if you don't have one or not able to figure out one, what is your favorite movie genre and why? So you have to answer why for both those questions. All right, so my movie franchise is pretty obvious, as has been obvious for the last 20-some episodes of this podcast, is Star Trek. I love the original crew movies. The exception being Final Frontier, which was directed by William Shatner. That is a whole episode into itself to have a conversation about. But everything else they're just an amazing bunch of films. The Next Generation movies are a bit of a mixed bag because we started to get into some stuff that wasn't like the greatest Star Trek, but it was pretty good. So Star Trek has been my franchise, both television and movies, for forever. It is my constant standby. The runner-up to that is Doctor Who, of course. But there's not really a franchise that I'm like, oh, I got to go see this now, or this is the big, I got to make time for this or whatever. So that's my franchise. We'll just go on down the line. Phil.
Well, I wanted to ask you, because I've never seen Star Trek, so if you was to recommend one movie, which one would it be?
Oh, man. Okay, so here's the thing about Star Trek is you sometimes have to have knowledge of, but with the original cast, the movies are sort of interconnected. So the movie, the Star Trek the motion picture stands on its own. It is the new digital fancy schmancy. The Enterprise looks brand new. It's got a new look, new uniforms, the whole dang thing. If you're looking to kind of get an understanding of what Star Trek was aiming for and kind of that's where you start. It's a long movie. It sometimes feels plotting at points. But in general and overall, and it's a great movie. It's a really fun space opera. It tells a grand story. I'm not going to spoil it for you because it's a lot of years old, but it is one of the good ones. Now, I would say you would need to then my suggestion would be Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan.
Okay.
Followed by Search for Spock and The Voyage Home. So 2, 3, and 4 are all connected story-wise. Yeah. So 2 and 3 picks up right where 3 leaves off. And 4 picks up right where 3 leaves off. So 2, 3, and 4. So if you hit 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to get a really solid, 4 movies that are really going to give you the good Star Trek.
Alrighty.
You should watch Final Frontier, which is number 5, with a very healthy amount of skepticism and understanding of William Shatner and the reduced budget, and things were just there. Undiscovered Country is fantastic. It's the director who did Wrath of Khan returns to Star Trek and tells just an incredible story, and it's one of my favorites. At that point, then, we leave the original series and we move into the Next Generation movies, and it gets a little wobbly, but not too much after that. So I would say to start with your Star Trek the Motion Picture, find the special edition, the latest and greatest, and then launch yourselves into 2, 3, and 4. And at that point, then you can start to kind of play around with the rest of the series. I would not encourage you to watch the new Trek movies. Maybe Star Trek Beyond is a possibility, but we've talked about it on this podcast before and how shaky it is. Once you go back and you watch it again, you're like, oh no. But again, certain people like it, and there's no shame in that game. But yeah, the original movies, that's the order I would go in. So that's your long answer to your short question.
Well, thank you.
I am here to help. All right, so what do we got?
So for me, and this is more of like a comfort franchise for me, it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. Mm-hmm. I like all the movies. I think the Michael Bay ones are pretty good. Yeah. Some people disagree.
Michael Bay can be very divisive at his best sometimes.
I want to see the new one, Mutant Mayhem, that came out, because I've heard it's really good.
I've heard some things. I haven't heard good or bad. I've just been hearing there's new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All right, cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's mine.
All right, Zoe.
Mine would have to be the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
It's very nostalgic for me because me and my parents would go watch them all as they came out in the theaters. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then when I was in college, me and a dear friend of mine decided, let's do the trilogy and all the Hobbit movies in one day.
Whoa.
It literally took all day.
Yeah, that was a 24-hour thing almost.
And then we passed out.
Yeah.
But yes, so it's just a very nostalgic trilogy for me.
Yeah.
And me and my wife Vicki have talked about this. We love that original trilogy, especially the extended editions.
Yes.
There is something about when that music starts and you know what's coming and it's gonna be great.
Yes.
And then they went and made The Hobbit, but we'll talk about that at some point down the road, maybe.
Yeah, it
It's one of
wasn't
my
my
favorite
favorite
books.
either.
And they
I
ruined
like
it.
the Hobbit movies.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you apparently have a resistance to terrible.
I'll meet you in
I've
the middle,
seen-
like the first one and like half of the second.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Like at the point when the dwarfs and the elves start to fall in love, I'm like, we're done.
Yeah.
This doesn't work.
That wasn't in the book.
Like,
It's like
they
when
jumped the shark. That's what they did.
Well, it's like when Michael Bay did Pearl Harbor and he had a love triangle in the middle of Pearl Harbor. It's like, I'm sorry, sir. No.
no.
Bad llama. Okay. Vicki, what's yours?
Lord of the Rings did come to mind for me actually, but I'll go with Harry Potter
That was
Oh,
my
yes,
second one.
that's another one. I love those.
because it's books and movie as well. And I've been watching the digital ones on Peacock. We've been watching it with our foster daughter has not seen all of them, so I've been taking her through. And on Peacock they have the extended version, so you don't have to go and watch the deleted scene separately. It's just all intermixed. I'm having such a good time being like, oh, and in the book they explain it this way, and this is the explanation based on the book. I'm having a great time. And yeah, I now work in an elementary school where they do things like house points, and
awesome.
so it's pretty great.
And on the other side of things, I just don't care for the movies.
Understand.
I'm not. I love.
But I'm not a Trekkie either, so I guess it kind of works out.
I like my books. I like my Harry Potter books. I like them in my head. I like the idea of what they look like, and also because like they split up the last book into 2 movies, which
Yeah.
I
Gotta make that money.
I understand to a point, but it began that and that's where the Hobbit issue came into play, and all these like, oh, we're gonna do 2 parts, and it's like, why would
but that
you?
wasn't necessary.
It really
And
was.
now
That was
they're
too much.
making a series, I think, on HBO.
No.
It's been announced, and
Yeah.
people lost their minds
Yeah.
about it. They were like, "Why would you need to do this? It's been done. Why would you need to do it again?"
Please don't do it again.
But
Don't.
that's the thing, is that we can't create new ideas. We got to go back to the old and
Yeah.
reform and reboot and everything else. It's like, you know what? No more. No
Give
more.
me something new.
Yep, give me something fresh. Which we're going to talk about that in 2 parts today. So coming up here on the Nerds by Screenlight, we're going to talk about first Violent Night, which was a Christmas movie. A year ago, 2 years ago,
Last year.
last year, and then we're going to talk about an oldie, which is weird to say that given that it was only 22 years ago this movie came out. Life as a House with Kevin Kline and the incredible Hayden Christiansen, which we'll talk at length about how we feel about him when it comes to
and Kristen Scott Thomas
Kristen
is
Scott.
an amazing
It
actress.
has actually a really good cast, but we're going to get all to that. So stick with us. Hold on, strap in. It's going to be probably a pretty good long one. We might split into 2 parts. We'll see. But coming up next, it's time for Santa Claus to return in Violent Night. Coming up next here on Nerds by Screenlight.
Get nerdy with me. Talk nerdy to me. Get nerdy with me. All I really need for you to do is just please
I get so.
talk to me. Talk nerdy to me.
All right, we're back to the Nerds by Screenlight. I really am fighting to not say Counting Gamers because I'm just so used to saying it at this time
we
on
have
this
a
day.
squirt bottle for Chris. I'm
Yeah, we
ready
do.
For it.
We have, and we're in discussions about how to get that to him and for him to be back. He's at a movie with his wife right now, enjoying family
cool.
time. So
That's good.
anyway, so the movie of conversation is Violent Night, and I want us, the 3 of us, to kind of talk. Like I'm going to go last because I always talk a lot. Between Zoe and Phil, or both of you, what were your expectations going into this, based upon what you had seen?
Mine were very low.
Yeah,
Very low.
Agreed.
yeah.
I thought it was going to be terrible.
Yeah, the idea kind of just seems off the wall.
Yeah.
And so the trailer originally ran as like Santa Claus, the real Santa Claus, obviously, shows up to a house, and Santa's on the skids. Santa's having a tough time. You know, he's doing things and just kind of hating life in general. And he shows up to a house that's being raided by like murderers or robbers or whatever.
Yep.
And so he suddenly has to rescue the family. And the way the trailer ran, it was like, okay, well, it's just regular Santa Claus. It's just, why didn't just get Tim Allen to do a weird reboot and whatever? Just like your mind's like, of course they wouldn't because it's Disney and that's just not family friendly at all. But it's just like
Tim
that.
Allen.
Yeah, Tim Allen in this role.
It's
Can you imagine?
underrated. He's really an incredible actor.
He
I
is.
don't know if he could do this role though.
I don't know.
It would be a little too much. Like if you got a Mel Gibson, maybe he's kind of
Yeah.
grizzled. He'd pull it off. But Tim Allen can't. He's too Woody from from Toy Story. Or no, is he? No, he's Buzz Lightyear.
Buzz from Toy. Yep,
mixing
that's
up my
Tom Hanks.
I'm mixing up my Toy Story. I even think that Tom Hanks would be a terrible choice for Santa in this movie.
No.
So it's the guy from Stranger Things, the sheriff, and it's. So I had the same words. I was like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, what's the deal? Like, because here's the thing: when Christmas comes around, they always try and release some Hollywood schlock.
Yeah.
And it's never
Krampus.
good. Oh yeah, no, oh no, oh my gosh! Like some just, and it's here's the thing. This is an I feel statement, and you can agree with me or disagree with me, or just tell me that no. The state of both comedy and holiday movies in this day and age in 2023, the year of our Lord, is terrible.
I was actually
Yes.
just a few days ago. I looked at Zoe and I was like, "When was the last good comedy movie that came out?"
Yeah,
Free Guy.
I
Yeah.
did like
Free Guy is
I
good.
actually bought it.
yeah.
And I want to see Strays.
Yeah, I've heard that's more very adult.
Yeah.
Very, very adult.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind going in. But yeah, no, it's like when we saw Free Guy, it was like we like sat up. We're like, oh, this is actually quite good. We got a good plot here. We got
Yeah.
all right. This is all right. Let's do this. But it's rewrite, and I haven't. Even on Netflix, when I look for comedies, I'm just like, okay, this is all right. This is kind of I don't like this or whatever.
Yeah.
So the state of holiday movies is, of course, you have the now perennial and annual and even semi-annual Hallmark Life Network, whatever shows of all the romantic, like it's literally an AI could write.
Yeah, pretty much.
all of it, and
it's
it does.
kind
Like,
of true.
and they've done it. They've looked
They're
at.
fun to heckle though. Watch
Yes.
it with the attitude of heckling, and it's great.
What I want to know is
Agreed.
where are they getting all the money to produce these movies? Either they're really producing them cheaply, which is probably the truth,
Yeah.
or there's a secret consortium of Lifetime, whatever the other Hallmark movie channel people who are secretly funding the end of our civilization through holiday movies. I'm saying it. I'm putting it out there.
putting it
Get
out
me the tinfoil hat. Let's do
What's
this.
the word for like?
You don't even want to know what first came to mind.
No, I'm not going in any weird directions.
Moving on from whatever that was.
I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
I don't want to
Like
know.
conspiracy, basically, theories.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, give me some tinfoil, man. Let's do this. But that's for another time, for another show. I will say there was one of the movies, and this was like years ago, where the context of the show was two sisters or twins or something, and one of them lived in Littleton, and the other lived in like I don't even know, like Denver or something, or Inglewood, and that the plot of the movie was, oh, I'm going from Littleton, Colorado to Inglewood, Colorado for Christmas.
This is my work commute, guys. It's 20 minutes.
And they were like, it was like this huge thing and a big to do, and it's like, that's what they did. That was, and people from Colorado watched it and were like, you gotta be kidding.
It's hilarious.
And it was.
And Littleton's not a small town.
No.
At all.
Yeah, it's like they just were like, oh, Colorado, Littleton, little town. Yeah, that works. No, it didn't.
It does not.
So Violent Night turns out to be one very weird and fun movie.
Yeah.
So the context, and then we'll talk about performances, because we have Benicio del Toro in this. Or no, who is it? Oh, I should have known this.
I am so bad with names.
I know Logano or God.
I know who you're talking about. Sorry, we're gonna be informed today on the podcast. We're not gonna
Yeah.
just throw out random names. I'm
Google
actually
is
gonna.
our friend.
Yeah,
I'm
IMDb for the
not
win.
good. I am not good with names.
Illuminati, that's what I was thinking of.
What is it? Violent Night.
Show me his face and I'll know.
Yeah.
Violent Night. Oh, come on. Here we go. We're going to get John Leguizamo. There it is.
Yeah,
we got it. Took us a minute. We got it. So, yeah, we have David Harbour, John Leguizamo, Beverly D'Angelo, who was in Seventh Heaven back in the day, and then a bunch of other actresses and actors that I don't know because they're probably brand spanking new.
Yeah.
But it's so the premise of this movie is Santa's on the skids. Santa's having a struggle bus.
Yeah.
He's in bars.
He
you know.
thinks people don't
No.
believe in him.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
So he's like losing his powers.
Right. He's losing his strength. He's losing his focus. You know, he just doesn't care. But what's interesting is they build a backstory for Santa.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, this movie's been out for at least a year. So if you haven't watched it, you don't have to. But just know if you didn't want to, skip ahead until you hear us not talking about it. But they tie it in to a Norse to it, like a Norwegian.
Yeah,
Like-
he gets a battle axe.
Yeah. And it's
great.
I forgot about that.
it's this crazy thing where you don't like the backstory of Santa has always been, oh, he just the next Santa Claus steps up or he just whatever.
And he's got so many tattoos.
Yeah. And you
Yeah, he looks like he looks like Thor,
Yeah.
basically.
He's like Thor went to prison and joined a gang, and that's what happened. But it's more that he's a Norwegian, he's a Viking.
Yeah.
And I can't remember exactly, but it comes to him through like a power, or he gets it as a he's given this thing, and it turns him into Santa Claus. But his power is based through the Norwegian runes kind of thing. And when that moment comes along, you're just like, did this movie just actually get really interesting and actually try and give us something, then versus just, oh, it's Santa Claus is Santa Claus and that's the end of it. No, this movie tried.
Yeah.
And it tried hard, and it actually stuck the landing.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good. So
it's probably going to be added to the list of holiday movies I watch every year.
Yeah, I mean,
At least once.
yeah. Well, and it's fun. What's cool about it is that Santa doesn't have his powers. Like, really, he's not strong in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then towards the middle and in the end of the movie,
he's got some power.
he got power, and it is some of the best fight choreography I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Because, like, in a lot of modern movies, they'll do, like, the shaky cam where you can't really see what's happening, or they'll shoot it in a way that you're just like, I don't know who's punching who. Like, could you please show me what's going on here? But with this one, you see it, and it is fluid, and I would hesitate to call it beautiful because I've used that term before, but it's gorgeous to watch.
Yeah.
How they figured out the movement and what was going where. And John Leguizamo is a very evil man.
I will say, every actor in this movie, outside from the little girl,
Yeah.
plays the most unlikable character.
Yes.
No one in this movie is likable except the little girl.
Yeah.
And maybe Santa, I guess. I mean,
Towards the end.
you cheer for him a little bit.
Right.
But everyone else is just such a terrible person. And it's like, it's hard to feel bad for them. But, Santa's only helping because of the little girl.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's like talking to him through a walkie-talkie. And
Yeah. I like that. I like that element. It was kind of cool. But I do agree. Yeah. There's
They're awful people.
they're awful to each other. So they're all family. So they're all gathered together for a family Christmas, and there's a moment where he's like, oh, give her the gift, give him the note or whatever.
Yeah.
And so mom gets the gift from her son. We don't know what that note contains, and we're just kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, maybe it's him telling her she's a terrible mom and he hates her because nobody gets along in this family.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
None of them. And so we think, oh, it's just a letter or a card that says, hey, I hate you. Get out of my life. We're leaving the family. We're gonna go move somewhere else. Only you come to find out that was a confession to stealing her money.
All her estate money.
Dun, dun,
yeah.
dun.
And so it's just like this, and you don't know it until the moment happens and they open up the safe, and you can see it in his face, and you're just like, what is? Oh, and you're like, oh no, he's the one that stole the. Oh no! And so it ramps up and amps up it's intense, but it's done in a way that's like, it's kind of fun. Like, it's not it's a Christmas movie, but it's it's fun but it's not excessive. Like, the violence isn't terribly excessive, so it's still accessible, but it is. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to watch. I really enjoyed Violent.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I was like, well, I'll take more of this. Please give me more Santa movies with this. Like, let's forget Tim Allen. Let's bring in David Harbour. Let's do this.
Bring in Thor Santa.
Yeah, Thor Santa. Oh, heck yeah. There could have, and I wonder what was left on the cutting room floor or even on the script cutting floor, because you think about the mythology they were trying to set up. There's it probably wasn't in the mythology of Violent Night, which is a weird thing to say out loud. There's probably other creatures or other powered beings in the world that have been given these various weapons that have enchanted them and given them you could tell a whole story. You could go into the Easter Bunny if you really want. There's a whole universe here.
The Tooth Fairy.
Like they do in Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
Yeah,
they have all Jack Frost.
Yeah,
that's true.
The Tooth Fairy
but imagine like a slightly darker version of that, and you got some fun.
Could be interesting.
You should, what you do with all those teeth? You can go in some weird directions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh god.
Picturing like a weird necklace in my head or something.
Oh no.
There there's your nightmare fuel. Okay. Well, I think we've talked about, and I think it's a fun movie to watch.
Can I ask you one question, Aaron?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's a little gory.
I
And last
do
week,
too,
you
actually.
said that you don't really like horror movies. So how did you get through the gore?
Fast forward button.
It's so annoying.
Well, and in that kind of movie, it's not a horror movie, and I know that it's not real. Me and my wife struggle with this because her suspension of disbelief is super strong.
Yeah.
She's just like, oh my god, I'm like, it's not real. It's
No, I have
okay.
to tell myself aloud, it's not real. It's
Yeah.
just a movie. Because I'll forget. I'm just get caught up in the moment.
And here I am over on the couch being like, okay, here's what I think about angle 3 of
It
shot
actually can be
Oh
really
my
helpful.
God.
Sometimes it's really great work. Like if I'm freaking out, he's like, I can see the wires. And it just makes me laugh.
I can see the plot holes.
Right.
All right, so
Until he fast forwards, then I get annoyed.
On
Nah.
to the main event.
on
As we all pull out our
and now
page-long notes.
for the main event of Nerds by Screenlight. So the movie is Life as a House. Now the reason why we're talking about Life as a House is because when we were talking about Star Wars, we talked about Hayden Christensen.
Yes.
And Hayden Christensen got pretty beat up about that whole the prequels. He
makes
got
sense.
and I will say that he wasn't the one deserving of the hate or the vitriol. Like that should have been aimed at the writers and directors and the people who produced that.
Yeah.
Someone told Hayden to act that way or to move that way or to carry the character that way.
It's kind of like Robert Pattinson, really.
Yeah.
Like if you see the Twilight movies.
Oh, yeah.
But if you see him in anything else, he is a brilliant actor.
Yes, he is.
Him and the Batman is legit.
Oh my
God. It
gosh.
actually made me like Batman.
Yeah, it was an incredible
Batman
movie.
fans
I
in
was
this
like,
house.
what? Like, and again, you're like, this is Robert Pattinson. This is the guy who played in Twilight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sparkly Twilight.
Sparkly Twilight. But you also have to remember, he also played in a movie. I don't remember the title, but it was basically, spoiler alert. Again, it's been out for a couple of years. The ending of the movie is pulls out from the World Trade Center,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
so
that's- We
amazing.
watched it together, I think.
I didn't watch that movie.
Oh. Okay, never
didn't.
mind. I remember watching it, being into it until it pulled out, and I was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
This
No,
is too soon. I can't.
In that final scene, you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way that movie did get good reviews because Robert Pattinson is a good actor.
Yes.
And I think what we forget as fans, and this is directed to everyone out there who's a fan, because sometimes we get a little crazy. Well, okay, we do get a little crazy. I'm freely admitting this. But we forget that the actor is responsible in pieces, but the overwhelming responsibility for what shows up on that screen is your writer, your director, your producers, the editors, even like the people who are on scene with them shooting the scene. They're the ones who are telling them, okay, do it like this, do it like that, do it like this, and then we're going to frame it like that. The actor's just following directions and putting his own spin on it as much as he can based upon what the director is telling him. So that's why I think Hayden gets and even we talked about Jake Lloyd last week. He got uncharacteristically dumped on for his role in The Phantom Menace. And so this movie actually came out just before The Phantom Menace. If you can believe it, 2001. It came out before The Phantom Menace. And so these two movies were already in the can, ready to go, and Life as a House hit first, and then Phantom Menace hit. What's interesting is Life as a House, I think, has gotten ignored. It's gotten some bad ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. Vicki
I
was
don't
like,
understand.
I don't understand that either.
Here's the thing, and we talked about this before as we were watching the movie today. I think I understand. We're going to talk about that as we go. So let's start with Nerds by Screenlight. We tend to start at the beginning, and we kind of just go through. And if there's things you want to talk about, let's go throw it in there. Let's open it up. 2001 was there's actually a 2009. I would say 1999 to 2001 was a really very interesting year for movies. There's actually a book, and I'm going to check it out and maybe have you guys check it out and read it or something like that, but it's called like 1999, The Year That Made Movies. And if you look, and it's fascinating. I need to pick it up, but it talks about how 1999 was one of the greatest revolutions and moments in movie making history because it's what the movies that were produced. I feel like that could be said in a similar way from the 99s into the 2000s, 2001, and 2002, and then it starts to get a little shaky. This movie is overall really solid.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a master class in a lot of things. So let's start with how it begins, because I think this is important. It's a classic opening, and we say classic because we don't see it a lot sometimes because everything's quick cut all these times. But this opens with kind of a nice neighborhood. You got some music playing. You're like, oh, okay.
Soundtrack rocks.
Yeah, soundtrack.
Yes.
Oh, soundtrack is legitimate. That's
Yes.
one of the notes I made is that every song that plays in this scene, in these scenes in this movie,
On point.
Yep.
perfect. And just anyway, so we get that, and then we get the nice neighborhood, and then we see the dump of a house
Yeah.
and the shack. But here's the thing: as far as I can tell, that's all one take. So they pull in, and then they pull into the house, and they get to Kevin Kline. That's one take. Unstopped, unquestionably, it happens.
Yeah.
And I love the introduction of him. This movie doesn't have significant dialogue until 5 minutes in.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Nobody actually talks to each other mean, there's some blah, 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 but there's nothing considerable conflict-wise or engagement-wise for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's just nice shots.
Yeah, just
mostly.
soaking in the
You get an
scene.
introduction to everybody.
To the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Well, and to your point, you're just sitting there. So there's this idea in movies and books called show not tell.
Right.
So when you tell someone, you are exposition dumping. So Phil, if we were to do this movie with a lot of telling, it would be like the wife going, "Oh my gosh, did you see his house today? It's still a wreck. I hate it. It's dumb. Oh yeah, he's been working on it for 20 years. Yeah, and I didn't live in that house. I refused to live in that house for all that time, and I hated him. I didn't love him." And da-da-da.
Doing it in plain eyesight of the neighbor.
Right.
It's just like,
well, okay. So we're doing. This is a theoretical conversation.
Okay.
So this is theoretically how the movie could open if it wasn't done the way it was. So telling versus showing. So you'd have characters telling. I know what you're referring to, but you would have characters telling about what was telling about the events. It would get real boring real quick.
Oh,
You'd be
yeah.
like, okay, what are we doing here? But the beauty of what this movie does is it shows us this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cut away.
Yeah.
It lingers and holds those moments where you just go, okay, there's something going on. But then we get the scene where you're talking about where the neighbors kind of show up and they say, "Oh, they're finally turning there." And he's like, "Oh, hey, Bob. Oh, hey, man." And it's like, "Oh," and but it's beautiful because it's all show.
Yeah.
We understand that there's something has happened here, and there's and we get introduced to all the characters within the first 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, they're all there.
We get everybody, and we get a sense of who they are because
it's unfiltered.
what like.
See the good, bad, and the ugly.
So Zoe, I'm going to rely on you for this because you're the counselor and you have tact where sometimes I don't.
Okay.
So we get introduced to Hayden Christiansen's character. How?
Oh God, Hayden.
He's the punk rock emo boy
I
son.
thought his name was Sam.
Sam. Okay, Sam. Sam's his name. I just call
Hayden's
him
the actor.
Hayden's the actor.
Sam has all the teenage angst
Yeah.
that you could possibly have.
I just want to say, I have to get this off
Oh
my
my
chest.
God.
I have
Can't
to
wait to
say.
hear this.
So I'm watching this movie, and it's a great movie, having a good time. But if I close my eyes, I just hear whiny little Anakin,
Yes.
and I'm like,
kind of.
he even has like the same cadences sometimes. The way that he stands is like Anakin, and I'm like, Aaron, you subjected me to another whiny Anakin.
But here's the thing: in Star Wars, the whininess isn't earned and doesn't serve
He
a
has a reason to be upset
does.
in this
Definitely
movie.
has
You
a
don't
reason
understand
to be
it
upset.
first, but
Yeah.
as he goes
in
on,
this
you're like,
movie, we know like it's earned, and like to your point, yeah, I think what's interesting because the movies came out at about the same time. So Phantom Menace and this were in a similar kind of circle or whatever. I think it explains why we got the whiny kind of Hayden in Star
Yeah.
Wars,
Right.
but he's really good at it
Yeah.
when
He is.
it fits the story and when he has a competent director and competent people around him to act off of and engage with. It's brilliant, and you're like, okay, you are. It's not even stereotypical. Like I've known kids in my lifetime, both when I was younger and even growing up. Like I knew kids like this. They were angsty. They were angry. They were doing the goth thing. Like that's not
Rebels.
yeah, they're not the outlier. They were real.
Yeah.
This is
And he definitely shows signs of course, depression. I mean,
Yeah.
he is depressed.
yeah.
He's
Well, that
in a family that doesn't love
Yeah,
him. I
right.
mean, his stepdad ignores him.
Yeah.
Like,
he's a piece of work, that
Yes.
stepdad.
Well, and it's cool because I say that, but it's cool because dad. So this is stepdad, right? He is. They don't tell us that he's a terrible dude or that he's not.
They show you.
They show you.
Yes.
He won't. His kid's like, "Oh, hey, dad," and he's like, "Are your hands clean?"
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's just like, bro.
do you love your son?
Yeah, because mom even asks him like, "Oh, well, when was the last time our kids hugged you?" And he's like, "Well, that's what you're for." And it's like, ooh.
I would be so
The elementary
livid.
school teacher in me is losing her mind.
Vicky's
Hug
fuming.
you.
Yeah. But it's that moment of like, but what's cool is, and again, I say it's cool because I'm looking from a story perspective, right? Mom doesn't lose it on him because this is normal. And as a
Yeah.
viewer,
she's resigned.
yeah, she's
like-
this is just another day in the house.
Yeah.
He's not hugging his kids. She tries to encourage him. He's like, "Well, that's your job." And but what's beautiful about that is that we as a viewer go, "Oh man, this has been going on for a long time. You didn't have to tell me. All you got to do is show me,
Yeah.
and I'll fill in those blanks." This movie respects you as an audience. It allows you to make intelligent inferences and like interpretations, and for you to run with it. So by the time you get further down the road with the story, you're like, "Oh man, yeah, I saw this. Oh man, oh man, he's really bad. He's a terrible human being." Blah 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 blah. So
And it just breaks my heart because the little kids like pick up on that and then they start like picking on their older stepbrother and calling him names, and I'm just like, wow.
They imitate what they see.
Yeah, it rubs off.
Yeah.
And Zoe brought up something to me while we were watching it, and that's the character development.
Yes.
You see a lot of these characters change.
Yeah.
Like the stepdad's kids eventually end
Yeah.
up preferring Sam's dad,
Yeah, George. Yeah.
George.
and
yeah.
they want to go hang out at the house because mom even says that later in the movie. I know we're jumping around if you're listening, but just bear with us. It'll make sense.
We'll get on track.
Maybe if we're lucky. I'm not making any guarantees. There's
My
no
gosh.
promise. This is not like, the tuxedo shop where we're promised. What is that shop? The Men's Warehouse. Guaranteed. There's no guarantees here in the
There's
at
no
the Nerd Warehouse. So yeah, you're exactly right. So, and Zoe, you can kind of speak to this. What happens is they start to find happiness at the job site.
Yeah. Building. We should explain why he's tearing down the house. Why he's building a house.
All right, but so we don't get the real we don't get the real answer until significantly farther in the movie. But we have to. So here's the thing: he has to get fired from his job.
Yeah.
And he is a model builder in an age of computers. This is 2001, mind you.
I know. That's what's insane.
So that's what's impressive is that they were already having the stories about how computers were taking away jobs. So he gets let go. He doesn't know he's
Love
sick.
that scene.
Yeah,
Best scene of the whole movie.
between him and the boss.
One of them.
Yeah. Well, when he's smashing all
I was
his
like, he's
models.
about to go destroy all his work.
Well, and that's what I love about that is that he kind of just like you can see him kind of try and like when he says I've hated this place since I started, and he's like, okay, and he's trying to make him feel better, make his boss feel better, but I think he's also trying to lull him into a sense of security of, oh, I'm not going to get violent, I'm not going to get mad. I'm just going to go peacefully and it's fine. His boss is like, oh, okay, cool. Then you're fine. We don't need to escort you or
Boss
whatever.
is an idiot.
Yeah.
Complete idiot.
But his boss plays that, like the character plays that role so well. So he goes down to his desk. He sits there. He looks at his little model.
Yeah, because he wanted to take some home. Like he's like, let me keep a couple of the models
But
I
they're
made.
like, no, we own you. We own your
Yeah,
work.
you can ask us for one with permission. And he's just like, that ain't going to happen. So he gets down to his desk. And then, I love the...
I called it too. I'm like,
He did. He called it right before. and
I'm
I'm
like,
just
he's
wait.
about to ruin this office.
And I think what's the cool about that is that you know, but you don't know.
Right.
Because the character, the knowledge you have of the character so far is, okay, maybe he'll do something, I don't know.
Right.
But to the level at which he does it, he smashes
It's
all
very
of them already.
satisfying to watch. Though.
Even the one out of his boss's hand.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yes.
I'm
Oh
keeping
my
this one.
gosh.
Bam.
And then he takes his out, and then he gets out on the street and passes out.
Yeah.
Right on top of it,
Right on-
which is also sad because it was the last one he had.
The last model he had. So we then end up with the scene, and what I love about this is that there's no dialogue. It's all show. We get to see what's happening from his perspective. The scans, they're looking at the scans behind the glass and kind of looking at him.
He's kept in the dark.
he's kept in the dark,
Metaphorically
Yep.
and figuratively.
Yep. And then he wakes up, and the nurse comes in, and he talks about not being touched. And that I think is one of those moments where you just want to put the brakes on the movie and go, "What is happening?"
Yeah.
It doesn't. But interesting, it doesn't dig in. I mean, yes, she reaches out to touch him, and he responds like he pulls her closer, and she's like, "Okay, no, we're not doing that." And he's not malicious. He's not mean or trying to be a bad person. But he recognizes, oh my gosh, I'm responding to this because it's been a long time since I've actually had physical contact with anybody. And not even just speaking romantically, just speaking generally. Like he just hasn't had that.
And I think it's a beautiful scene because later you kind of find out that his father was very abusive to him, so he didn't really get that physical touch of love.
Yeah.
And so like her giving that to him probably was like amazing for him
Yeah.
after so long being not loved by his family.
Well, I keep saying this, and I adore this movie. There's a couple things towards the end where I'm just going to absolutely beat this movie up and throw it out the window and say bye-bye.
Same.
But so far,
I think we're probably on the same page.
we're going to
with a
find
couple.
out. You keep listening because we'll see if me and Phil are on the same page. Or
We'll be on the same
Well,
page.
Yes, we will.
It's boys
Guys
versus
versus
girls.
girls.
Let's go, Nerds by Screenlight Cage Edition.
You know I'm cooking dinner tonight.
Get the steel chair. Well, as long as the arsenic's not on the mix, we're fine. Which is another movie that we need to watch at some point is Arsenic and Old Lace with Dean Martin.
I've never seen that.
Have we seen that together?
I don't know.
Maybe we have.
It is absolutely fantastic. It's a stage show. obviously it's just.
I think we've seen pieces of it.
It's a play.
We got to watch the whole thing.
But the Arsenic and Old Lace with Dean Martin is just fantastic. Or no, is it Dean Martin? I don't. Okay, I'll get back to who it is. Anyway, my point of it is that this. Yeah. So your point. So we find out about that later, but they hold it.
Yes.
The movie holds it because this movie is not about telling you about
Showing
things. It's about saying, okay, you're going to learn about this character bit by bit, and there's going to be some likable parts, and there's going to be some unlikable parts. There are elements of Kevin Kline's character that we're not supposed to like.
Oh yeah.
And he is not redeemable at the beginning, in the beginning, and even in the first half of this movie.
Well, even Sam.
Yeah.
Honestly, all of them really.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
and so I think that's the beauty of this movie is a lot of times we have, and this is going to sound a bit hyperbole, so just bear with me as we do it. But there's a lot of Mary Sue issues with a lot of like modern movies. Like characters are so perfect, or they're so good, or they don't have anything that's wrong with them, or the things that are wrong with them are superficial, and they don't really have to work at it, and whatever. Within this movie, yeah, when we as we meet each character, they're not really all that great together or separate. But to your point, Phil, as you said, as this movie progresses, there is significant change that happens to these characters, and like you said, not the major ones, but the minor ones, the kids. The kids experience a change because the world is changing around them.
Yeah.
And you can talk about this a little bit, but we talk about nature versus nurture, and what that plays in here is that these kids, for the longest time, didn't have either.
Nope.
And now all of a sudden that light has been switched on, the spigot's been opened. There's a whole lot of like nurturing and love in their environment, and it's changing to be more positive.
I would even go as far to say as it changes the entire neighborhood, like the entire community, because they all
By
come
the end,
together to help him finish this house.
Yeah. And
without even knowing that he's dying.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
no one really knows till the end.
Yeah, the people who do know are very like we and they find out late in the game.
Yeah.
Like his ex-wife finds out when he finally tells her it's not just my back, and then that evening, in the same setting, he tells his son Sam.
His son starts to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yes,
at that
his
point.
son's like, hey, it's not just your back. What's going on? He's like, I've got a problem with cancer. And I love this conversation. I love the dialogue of this movie. I love a lot about this movie. I'm not ashamed to say this. I ain't proud. I'm gonna keep saying I love because I do. I love the dialogue in this movie because it's real.
It is.
Yeah, he's like, it's not a back problem.
Yeah, I'm having a problem with cancer. And he's like, well, what kind of problem with cancer? I'm having a problem beating it. And it's just like, bah!
So you're dying.
Yeah, so you're dying. And it's one of those moments where, yeah, people would probably complain about it being like, oh, well, you're just tugging at my heartstrings. Well, that's the whole point, you man. Like, come on. This is good filmmaking. This is a good scene. You're seeing Kevin Kline, who at that time was pretty veteran. But he's an outstanding actor with incredible accolades, and Hayden, who was just getting started. You're seeing two really good actors go toe-to-toe with each other, and they have to show emotion. They have to speak with, there's a lot being asked of these two people in the scene, and they hit every single note just so well because you're feeling it right along with them. We have jumped ahead, so we'll continue. We'll go back. We'll flash back to everything else.
Rewind.
So we get Hayden Christiansen. He is such an emo. The movie opens, and this is we're not going to talk too much about this, but it opens with him attempting to unlive. And that's a hard scene to watch because you don't really know until it actually starts happening, and you're like, okay, is he using? Because he has
is this what I think it is?
right,
Yeah.
and you're questioning, but the movie isn't going to shy away from it. It's not going to give you
No,
any
it
clue.
doesn't.
And so it does that, and he's like huffing off of his marijuana that he bought or something, and then he tries to.
And air dusters.
And he's got a whole method to his, but he's a complicated kid. He's got a lot.
He literally wakes up.
Yeah.
And that's the
first
first
thing
thing that
he
he does.
does.
Yeah. And I think that
I was like, well, that's wild to be doing that.
yeah, but that's when we get the understanding of this is who Sam is. Sam is one messed up kid.
He's disturbed.
He's got a lot going on, and a lot of movies would have relied on his stereotypical kind of like goth look to pull that off.
Yeah.
But this movie goes for the center mass and says,
hard.
no, this is a kid who's messed up, and this is a kid who is like separated from his family and locks his door and everything else. This is a kid and it presents it as like, it doesn't really present him as the solution until a little bit later we start to get that, okay, it's happening. But even then, when he moves in with Dad, it's not a solution. It's not making things better. It's making things worse.
Yes.
These two are going at each other. Not physically, but mentally. Like, there's a lot of games being played. So we get introduced to him. We get introduced to Mom. We get introduced to Stepdad, who nobody likes.
Nope.
So I wrote Hayden, emo, angst, picture perfect.
Picture perfect.
I liked it. I liked how we didn't play high school too much.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
we were at the high school for a minute, but we didn't go inside the classrooms. We didn't do any of that. We avoided the mean girls, whatever we're gonna do, which was nice. Vicki and I talked about this. There is a lot that happens in the beginning of this movie.
There is. They got to set it up.
There is so much, but it's not like it's overwhelming. But it's just like you are like, okay, I'm invested. I got to pay attention.
Yes.
I got to stay on track because if I look away,
So it's funny because Phil was going to watch this movie while multitasking and playing a game. So I paused it and I said, "Sir, you have to watch this because it goes fast."
Playing Mortal Kombat.
I know. So I made him like turn around and full focus.
And within 15 minutes, like I was locked in.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't even.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
so that's a question. When was the last time you were really locked into either a movie or television show?
God, it's been forever.
Yeah.
Mine was.
Only Murders in the Building.
Oh yeah.
I've heard that's good. I need to check that out.
That's great.
Martin and
I
Martin Short
still
and
need to
Selena
watch
Gomez.
this last season, but
Yes.
Yeah, but I
the
like
first two are phenomenal.
Their character development's like
Really?
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you've got Steve Martin and Martin Short, two legends
Yeah.
in both comedy and acting. Like those dudes are like, there's no question. You don't even ask for their credentials. You go, okay, you guys are good. Let's do this.
It just makes me happy they're still making good stuff.
Oh yeah, and they
Going
even
strong.
joke around about Father of the Bride in the show.
By the way, fun fact: did you know Steve Martin is a really good banjo player?
I did not.
He has
I
a
think
band.
He
I've
is.
heard that
I found a
somewhere.
video on YouTube of him doing dueling banjos with Kermit the Frog, and I've shown it to my class.
Yeah, he's actually.
I'll have to look this up.
He's actually.
You
in a band.
should. It's great.
His band actually tours.
What?
Yeah, he has
He's
a band.
really good.
Yeah, he has a band.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's legit.
Yeah.
So we we get all. So yeah. So there's a lot that happens, but yeah, you're like the last film or TV series that I watched was I Am Aaron Carter or Who Is Aaron Carter. It's on Netflix, and it pulled me in. Like I was like, I kept binging it. I kept going because like I want to see the next episode. I want to see the next episode.
Yeah.
There's not been a lot this recently that's caught my eye and been like, ooh, I want to watch that. And even like the movies, like I watched the trailers and I'm like, okay, that just seems very stereotypical. Like, okay,
Sure.
This is probably my counselor side, but I guess the monster Jeffrey Dahmer docuseries
Yeah.
was probably the last thing that pulled me in.
Yeah.
I love Evan Peters. He's beautiful.
Yeah.
But he also just like,
yeah,
he literally lived
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer. Like
Yeah.
his mannerisms, the way
Yeah.
he talked, everything.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah. It's
It's a hard watch, though.
It's a hard
but
watch,
It, yeah,
but yeah.
it isn't one of those shows where it's like I gotta see the next one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's how you know a movie's doing its job. With this, which this
Yeah.
one does. So then, where are we at? So much. I made notes. So much show. The angles of this movie, how they shoot the movie. There's certain moments where you're just like, oh my gosh, it's so good. Like you're drawn into what they're doing with the camera work.
And it feels so like 90s, early 2000s, like with the angles and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
well, with Sam, that kid, he bleeds the 90s.
Yeah.
When you look at
Yeah.
him.
Sure.
It's absolutely, and but I like again how it's subtly there, and it's not like played for jokes. It's not played
Right.
for humor.
Yeah.
No.
This is
And
like,
I'm glued into the soundtrack. Like when Dad comes in the back, and I'm like, Marilyn Manson is playing in the
Yeah.
background. That tells me everything I need to know about what is going
Yeah.
on. It's
Yes.
dark and it's not good.
Well, and I think it's also interesting that so we're in that moment now. I think where Kevin Kline comes to the house. So so Sam has made a deal that he's going to go to Lake Tahoe with his friends, and do
Yeah.
all kinds of unwise choices, as we would phrase them.
Hoodlum type activities.
Yeah, not good things. Nothing good is going to come of this.
Nope.
And Mom didn't have the backbone to tell him no.
Can't even.
And so, what does Dad do? What does actual blood Dad do? He shows up and he says, like, hey, like, he shows up. First, he can't get in the room because it's locked.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, how did you let him He's like, I can't tell him what to do. And he's just like, okay. So he goes and
Yeah,
gets...
you're
he-
the
Watch
parent.
me.
yeah, he goes and gets a ladder and climbs into his son's room.
the best.
And his kid's like, what are you? He's like, no, I'm like, no, I'm not. And then he unlocks the door. Mom comes in. Then he loses his mind. What are you doing in my room? Get out of here. I told you
Yeah.
not to.
Because Mom lets him get away with everything.
Right.
Yep.
And so now he's going to
Yeah.
throw a fit. So what I love about this is that Hayden doesn't get violent with his parents.
True.
He is absolutely just a raging ball of anger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Zoe, you can speak to this a little
A
bit more
whiny
as a
little bit.
counselor, but the fact that that is his way of acting out suggests that he doesn't quite know how to handle all of this, but he doesn't want to hurt anybody, but he's still upset and he's mad.
And I also think he wants attention, but he doesn't want them to know he wants the attention,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He wants to be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you watch him, and slowly but surely he breaks down, but he still goes around with his dad
Oh,
back
yeah.
at the house. Like, he's like, "Ah, nah, 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 nah."
He's got all these piercings, and his
Mm-hmm.
dad is like furious over the one.
I
he
like
has
grabs
on
the
his
hammer. He's
chin.
like, I'll take it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, that was
I'll
the
take
best
that
scene.
thumbtack out of your face.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, it was, but I like how again Kevin Kline is very good at what he does, and it's interesting to me that this movie, like, there's none of these relationships are unbelievable.
No, they're
Like,
very authentic.
They're very authentic. The charisma, I almost said charisma. That's not how you say that word. The riz, as the kids say.
Yeah.
The charisma between these characters is just incredible because you do believe that Kevin Kline and our female, I can't remember her name, you know it.
Melissa.
The mom, they still have feelings for each other. Whether or not they'll admit it, like when she picks him up from the train and he goes to like touch her, she almost bites him.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
I
yeah,
know.
yes,
Feisty.
and he doesn't. He's just.
But she's like, I'm still married. And I'm like,
yeah.
And he
like
when
you.
he looks at his hands. He goes, "Huh, interesting." And he doesn't, that's all he says. You're just like, "What is going on in your head right now?" But he doesn't explain, and we're left to go.
but she's like, you're so beautiful. You're even beautiful when you're angry.
You have the perfect amount of anger. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the moment he's at, where he's just basically facing death, he's just gonna. And it's not humor. It's just that he's being. So it's interesting. You talk about the character changes, right?
Yeah.
So the character that we had before the news about the cancer to the character after, it's a very different man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems like super serious. Because when you first see him in the opening shot, I don't think we can really talk about it, but
Yeah.
he doesn't care.
Yeah.
I feel like he's in a fog. Like he's moving around like.
If
Yeah.
he is doing his business in a public place off the back porch of his home. He doesn't have a bathroom. He has no plumbing.
That's functional.
So
Yeah, no enclosed bathroom.
he has created his own functional
Yes.
bathroom, which is off
Yes.
off his back porch area of his messy and out of control home. And so that would get him a ticket for indecent exposure
Yes.
and everything else between. Like that's no question there.
Yeah, I was writing down. I'm like, well, maybe he doesn't have neighbors. Wait, never mind.
Yeah, now he has neighbors, and that's a problem.
And he does not care.
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
Nope.
Yep.
He's like, how far do you got to look out of your window to see me?
Yeah, yeah, and you're just like, oh boy, bud.
And lets his dog like go pee on the neighbor's
Yeah.
yard like every morning.
Doesn't have control of him, doesn't care.
It's like I don't let him. He just loves to do it.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
that's not logical, sir. That's not how rational thought works. So yeah, he goes, he gets fired. So he comes back from the doctor and everything, and he's now taking everything seriously. He is now,
Yeah.
And so like he's like, yeah, no, give him to me for this, because she had joked with him I think earlier about taking him for the summer or whatever, and he's back. He's serious. He's like, let's go, let's do this. But he doesn't. In this way, he doesn't care because he's like, kid, you can hate me for the rest of your life. I hated my father too. It's a family tradition. Let's go.
Yep.
And we get a hint of that, but then later on we get the full story, and you're just like, oh my.
I find it
gosh.
easy to believe in the film that these two are blood related.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it speaks to Hayden Christiansen. He was directed far better in Life as a House than he was ever probably directed in Star Wars.
Yes.
And again, the writing is stronger. This movie, the writing, I was making notes. I'm like, the dialogue is amazing. This writing is legit. What is going on? This is amazing. Where is this stuff today? I want it now. It was really, really good. So he destroys all the things. He asks the nurse 3 or 4 months to live. Okay, so either of you can answer this or Vicki can answer this. There is a lot of there's not even double entendres, but it's almost like symbolism where he will say, I can die trying over my dead body or over your dead
Yeah.
body. Like, okay, that's like, he gives clues to the people in his life that he's dying. Obviously, it's not
It's probably
explicit.
him trying to cope, I imagine.
Yeah.
Like just I think about, I've heard that making these, like talking more about
Yeah.
death or even joking about it when you have these terminal kind of illnesses
Yeah.
or you're heading in this direction as a way of coping.
Yeah.
Well, and we never actually hear him say the words "I am dying."
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
never says that in the film.
Yeah. But
At
he
least,
says it
at least
inci-
on screen.
But he says
never
it
that.
incidentally as part of conversations. Like,
Yeah.
I
You
can
put the
die-
pieces together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can die trying. So I actually, that's a really cool observation, Phil. You're right. He doesn't actually say, I am dying.
Yeah.
His son says, my father's dying.
Yes.
Yeah.
His wife says, you're dying. Like, there's a lot of that, but he never
It's
explicitly.
probably really hard for him to actually say those words.
And I think, I suspect, obviously it's been 20 years, 22 years since this thing came out. It was probably intentional on the writer's part because they wanted him not to admit what was happening to him. Like, he couldn't maybe put those words together. And again, this is a theory. This is not actual fact. I had to track down the screenwriters, which probably they're, multimillionaires and big time writers by this point. And we couldn't get a hold of them. But it's interesting that you notice that because I think that's telling. Because in good movies that are well written, dialogue and what is said and what is not said matters.
Yeah.
And is important and has weight. And in this case, it did. Any other thoughts before I go again?
Well, I was just going to bring up, there was a point where I'm like, Phil, do you notice that Sam doesn't have any of his piercings in? And I feel like it was right after like him and his dad have that conversation of like him dying, and he goes to Alyssa's
No.
I didn't notice the transition.
It was right after he started actually finally helping his dad.
Okay.
Oh,
Because I was like,
interesting.
wait, like he's starting to change.
Yeah.
And
but you notice
That was when he took it out.
nobody said anything on screen about it.
No,
Right.
it was never mentioned again.
No.
Yeah.
His
I didn't put it
piercings
all
were-
together till the very end of the movie
Like-
when I was like,
The first half of the
looks
movie, his dad is complaining about his piercings constantly.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, like, you never hear about it again, and he's not wearing them anymore.
Yeah. He's like, he literally looks like a new person.
yeah.
Yeah.
Almost a baptism
Yeah.
in the
He
metaphorical
stops
sense.
wearing the makeup.
Yep.
And,
I think his hair is not
It,
blue
it
anymore.
looks like it's fading.
Yeah.
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 and I was telling Zoe, too, and I was like, this is actually really believable because when you're building something,
Yeah.
it gets a lot of emotions out. And I
Yeah.
was like, he's missing out on the best part because he refused to help his dad in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's tearing down the house. That's the best part for you to take part in,
Yeah.
you know, as like your therapy or just like, dude. and
Express
then-
your anger in a
yeah.
productive way.
Yeah. And whenever he does finally start helping him tear it down, he's like, his dad says something to him like, yeah, get it out, you know, like, I hate this house. And
Well, and
Yeah.
it's almost like they're both like almost tearing down their trauma.
yeah.
Like together.
Because he
Hmm.
he says it actually. He says Hayden says you're tearing down your dad. And he's like, feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
He
"Let's
doesn't take
jump-"
the bait. He's
Yeah.
just like,
No.
yeah, I am.
Yeah, and what he says to his son is like, yeah, and you should do that too. Tear me down. Let's
Right.
do this. And so it's that, and as you had just mentioned it and kind of talking about it, there is a separate but parallel symbolism with those two, because when he talks about his dad later, he says, yeah, my dad yelled at me, he did horrible things, he beat me, like he was abusive. My dad was abusive, and he has when he talks about that with Hayden or Sam, it's
You're
easy.
fine.
Hayden Christiansen, whatever, Sam. That moment is a turning point for Sam because he listens. He doesn't yell at his father. He doesn't, shout him down. He listens. And at the end of that conversation, when Kevin Kline walks out, Sam has tears, and he says a word that we can't say in the podcast, but he says, whatever, and you suddenly realize, okay, we've moved him. Sam's moved. Sam realizes his dad is far more complex than he could ever have imagined.
Yeah.
And he's gone through, because Kevin Kline's character says to him, I'll never put my hands on you because this is why. And this is what I'm trying to do and trying to make good on. And I love that moment because you can see without Sam saying, well, now I understand everything. He just says it in that one word and one expletive, and you get it. As a viewer, you go, oh, Sam's moving. He's crying, he's in tears, but he's shaken because he understands his dad now. And he understands where he's come from and where he's going, and his entire world changes. Like, it's a paradigm shift. It's just like, whoomp.
But then the next scene, you can see he still doesn't want to show that to his dad because
Yeah.
he's like, all right, you're going to pay me $10 an hour for
Yeah.
what you just flushed down the toilet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because dad flushed his stash that he was holding for the dude. So he kind of shores up his defenses.
Yeah.
You talk about. But you and I, you have done far more counseling work than I have. But like they talk about how you build up that outer armor.
Yeah.
And you put your shields back up, or you put your protection back on. You go back into battle, and that's what Sam's doing. He's walking back into his dad. He's like, okay, I'm gonna make a deal. It's called negotiating. I guess.
Yes, negotiating.
Thank you. This is. I mean, many reasons why you have Zoe on this program, but one of them is the counseling expertise. Is that he's negotiating with his dad, and I think his dad figures it out and goes like, okay, he's at least asking me.
Yeah.
He wants to participate. I've got my money from being fired. Yeah, okay, you can have some money. I'll pay you for it. And they go to work.
Right.
And it was beautiful to watch that happen. And just sitting back and going, we've earned this. This moment was earned because we had to go through a lot of just angst and anger and yelling and shouting and rah, rah, rah,
Oh,
rah.
I want to mention a specific scene
Yep.
where they're doing that, and so Sam is so angry at his dad
Yep.
in the situation that he has him in. This is before he starts helping, obviously.
Yeah.
He calls an inspector out to the house because there
Yeah.
was no door on the bathroom.
On the toilet, yeah.
And George, his dad's reaction was so. I thought it was hilarious.
He
Didn't
was.
skip
So
a beat.
He just grabs an armoire.
Yeah.
He cuts the back off of it and places
With a
it over the
chainsaw.
toilet. Yeah. And then he's like, there, doors.
I love the inspector. He's like, I hate to bring up the window again.
And he just takes the chainsaw right back to it. Just cuts a
Wild.
hole into
Like-
his house.
While Sam is literally yelling at him the entire
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Like, you're insane.
Why did you? Where did you put it? Where is it? I just.
The inspectors is just wide-eyed, just looking at the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and that scene.
don't wanna be
The
here.
scene ends
No.
with him saying, "I threw it down the toilet," like, what?
Yeah.
But it's that moment of like, Dad understand. Like, Dad's gonna fight. Like,
Yep.
he's gonna fight every which way to hold this house and to keep his kid here, so that he doesn't lose the opportunity. But yeah, no, it is a wild scene, and it's unflinching.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold back. It's
No.
just it's chaos, but it's chaos that you understand. It's like I don't even know how to describe it, honestly.
It's real life.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I could see someone doing
Yeah.
that in the moment.
Yeah, and that's I think why this movie works so well is that up until a certain point, which we'll get to here, it's believable, and you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. The neighbor's an idiot. Okay, that person's whatever. There are a couple of elements we'll get to that that they do kind of mess the movie up for me, but we'll get there.
I'm going to just say there are at least 2 scenes that do not even need to be in the movie.
Yeah. Let's see. He's the one of the lines I love. He says, "You don't always get what you wish."
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of those lines in this movie where you're just like, okay, that was pretty thoughtful. That was pretty insightful, man. I'm gonna carry that with me a little. He meets Jenna Malone. Now, that's not the character's name. That's the actress's name. Now, I will freely admit, in 2001, I was about the age of Jenna Malone, and she was a beautiful young lady at that time.
What
So,
character does she play?
it's Alyssa, right? The teen girl.
Alyssa.
teen?
Yeah. So
Okay.
She's been in a lot of stuff.
yeah, and she was like she was a beautiful young lady then. I mean, she's still a beautiful young woman now. But at that point, like, she was part of like a group of, like, when you're a guy or you're a girl, you have certain stars or
The teen idols.
You're just
kind
like,
of
oh my
thing.
gosh, I love them so much. Jenna Malone was she was drop dead gorgeous. I was like, oh wow, she's beautiful. And seeing her in circa 2001 is just a reminder of like, yeah, but here's the thing: she can also act her way out of a paper bag.
Oh,
like
yeah.
She's done
nobody.
Pride and Prejudice
Yeah.
and The Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even before this is like the beginning of her career,
Yeah.
kind of, and she's like she. I just am like, okay, here we go, buckle up, and she does. She flirts with Hayden Christiansen.
She plays a very weird character.
She
I
does.
guess.
Yeah, it's
It was hard for
interesting.
me to like put
Can't
my
figure
finger
her
on
out,
like
yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah. Well, so her supposed boyfriend, whatever, he says the words. She just decides what she's going to do, and she does it. She says,
Yeah.
He asks, he's like, hey, what's your deal with Alyssa? He's like, well, I'm there. And and for a moment I couldn't figure out what it was. But he said, yeah, she just decides what she's going to do, and she does it. What I love about this is 2001. A lot of movies during this time, the teen movies, weren't particularly kind to girls and to women in their portrayal. In this movie, Alyssa has a massive amount of agency. Girl has got a truckload, dump trucks of agency just being dumped into this movie.
No one walks all over her.
No. Mom can't tell her what to do. Her boyfriend can't tell her what to do. Nobody can tell her what to do. But she's not like out of control. Right. But she's like, she knows who she is. She knows her business, and she's going to go do it. And the fact that her boyfriend, who is not a great guy at all,
No.
he's a terrible human being.
Even though I love me some Damon Salvatore or Ian, whatever his name is.
We all have our vices, I suppose.
I barely recognized him in this movie.
Okay.
Like, he's so young.
Yeah,
See, I can't. I just see him on the bike, and I'm just like,
because he lost his car because he got arrested.
he deserved it.
Anyways,
did.
yes, he did. So, yeah, so her and Hayden's relationship is interesting because I think
Complicated.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
very complicated because he doesn't know how to feel. Right. And we're not going to talk about a subplot that involves him because it's inappropriate, at least for our content on this podcast. But I think to address it quickly and move on, that is one of the elements in this movie that I could have done without.
But it comes back at
It
the
does,
end.
but it's
Are you talking about with Alyssa and George?
no. I'm talking about the scene with him in the parking lot. With
Okay.
yeah, that's a plot I could have done without.
Yeah.
Now the fact that it comes back is very
Yeah,
convenient.
And it
it
helps.
becomes like a big part.
But here's the thing: it doesn't feel earned.
Yeah.
It feels like, oh, we have a solution to the problem right here. We plotted it, we put it there for safekeeping, and now we're going to bring it out. I'm just like,
I feel that.
There are other ways to do this than to do this, because you had to, in your head as a writer and director, you had to be like, okay, we're going to keep this plot element that's really offensive and very awful, and we're going to keep it and then return to it. And we're going to just have him smile about it. Oh, well, I'm like,
crack a little
no!
joke about it.
But I also feel like that was almost like Sam's rock bottom, and that's where he was like, maybe I do need to change. Because it
Maybe.
like
I
starts
felt like it was-
like the process.
I feel like when I saw that scene, I was like a light bulb went off in my head, and I'm like, this is not just an angsty teen. Like this is.
That's way deeper.
I think
Yeah,
we could've-
I appreciated it for
I
that.
think we could have done. I feel this is an I feel statement. I feel like we could have done it a little bit different and a little bit smarter. It feels clunky, and we'll get to the more clunky parts of this. The dead jokes are hilarious and
Yes.
heartbreaking because we'll still say like he'll like either Sam or someone will refer to death, and it's just like we know what's going on.
Yeah.
The hilarious and heartbreaking part is nobody else in this movie does except for Kevin Kline's character. Oh, what else? Anything else before I move forward to the flirtation between Jenna and between Alyssa and Sam is just out of control. There's two scenes in which he goes over to the house to shower, and for whatever reason, again, Alyssa is beating to her own drum.
Yeah.
Ends up in the shower with Sam. Nothing happens the first time, or I think the second time something does occur, but it's weird, but I love I researched, and they talked about, Hayden Christiansen talked about how uncomfortable he was in those scenes.
Oh, I bet.
I bet it was.
It was uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable to watch, and I think that plays into the fact that it's a weird thing, and is this one of the things you wished you could have done without?
No, that didn't bother me.
Okay.
There were other things in this movie that
We'll get there.
disturbed me.
Yeah. So we get that, and then like because they're like, are we friends? I'm not sure what they're friends and whatever, and so it develops into something, and it doesn't. It's weird, but I think that within the plot of this movie, it works because it tells you that this isn't going to be a damsel in distress. This isn't going to be a happy ending with her marrying. Like there's tension there that's not going to be resolved easily, and it's going to take time for us to get there.
And I think it kind of makes it come around full circle because they had a relationship when they were younger, when
Yeah.
he actually lived there with his dad.
Oh,
and mom.
right, yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So she's like, "Yeah, do you remember me?" Back and he's like, "Oh, I kind of do now."
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's that part of it. There's a moment where Sam overhears his dad or hears his dad talking about his happiness. And he says, and Hayden says, "You haven't been happy for 10 years."
Yeah.
And it's that moment of just like, ooh, like that's a long time to be unhappy.
And of course, the memory was of him and his son.
Yeah.
Which then he's like, well, that breaks my heart because then where were you for the past 10 years?
Yeah. Yeah. This movie does a lot of emotional heavy lifting, and it doesn't flinch.
No. I was crying a lot.
Yeah. My wife
Oh,
wasn't.
my
I
God.
broke down. There was this when he was talking to his ex-wife about how I've always loved you. I
That was
lost it.
That was it.
I was like,
like,
ah!
like
I was wiping
Zoe
the
said.
tears.
Zoe said so. Like I wasn't looking at her, but it was at that same exact scene. Zoe said something to me, and like all I could hear sniffling, and I look over and I'm like, "Are you kidding me right now?"
I don't cry much in movies. It takes a lot. Like sometimes I get misty eyed, but it's a rare moment for me in movies where I will do that.
I mean, it just hits your heart.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's pretty intense. Okay, we have hit an hour.
I was about to say, how
course
long
we
have we
have.
been going?
So
Well,
here,
We
we're
always
through
do.
most of the movie.
Yeah,
we've
that's
true.
still got stuff to talk about. Let's see. Yeah, I've got.
What about like,
So
know,
many
the
notes.
mom, Robin or whatever, how she starts coming over every day and bringing lunch. Like that's
Yeah.
the beginning of
It's
it.
an interesting transition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and because obviously her husband is unfeeling, and so this is one thing that I do wish the movie. I don't want to say had been more fair to him because he was a jerk. He wasn't. He was, and we get a good pretty much history of like he's never home. He's always working because Alyssa asks her like, "Where's your husband? Like, why?" She's like, "Oh, he's at work. Why would I need to be? Why would I need to be home? Like, you whenever want." But then that's the question of like, well, then why are you here? This is your ex-husband. Like, what's going on here? I think for her, Kevin Kline's character becomes a surrogate father or I don't even want to say father, like a surrogate presence
Yeah.
in that family's life. Because the boys are like, we want to keep coming, and he's like,
they're
I don't.
having fun working on the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're just having fun being there. And he says, she asked him, do you not want me to be here? And she said, I'd rather you not.
But she still comes back.
She comes back, and I think at that point they don't have the conversation then, but she asks him about the whole like love or whatever. What did you mean by that? And that's where the moment comes where Vicki lost it, and it is an emotional scene. It is really because
he's losing time, and she's married to somebody else, and just to know that this whole time, he felt this way, but he couldn't say it. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah. So one of the characters that I think probably the moments that we could have done without was Mary Steenburgen, and so she's the mom of Alyssa.
Oh, and the boyfriend.
Yep. I was done.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
So,
there?
and in the same aspect, the moment with Alyssa and
Kevin
George.
Kline's-
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
I'm like, why did that happen? There was no
So
payoff from
uncomfortable.
it, from anything.
So
I'm like, if you remove these two scenes,
Yeah.
it changes the movie. Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe for the better because then they're not in there, but it does not change the story or plot.
Yeah.
There was nothing
So
about those two scenes.
if you're wondering what we're talking about in the movie,
But I want to
there's-
know what Zoe thinks. She's got thoughts.
There's a scene in which Hayden's drug dealing friend, and also other things that he does inappropriately friend, strikes up a relationship with Alyssa's mom, which is wholly unacceptable and completely inappropriate. And the only excuse I think we can probably, or allowance we can give to the movie, is it's 2001 and we were still doing stupid crap like this.
It
Are
just
they
shows
trying to be edgy and artsy? What were they
Yeah.
thinking?
It just shows she has like no boundaries, and
Yeah.
she kind of lets her daughter do whatever she wants,
Right.
Kind of thing.
And it doesn't work well enough.
No.
It feels uncomfortable.
And I think it really I guess the point of it is when she's calling him like, "Where are you?" And Kevin Kline picks up the phone and she's like, "What?"
Oh, that was
Oh
funny.
my
He's
gosh.
like, is that for me? He
But
goes, I
then-
hope not.
But then literally the next day, her guilt makes her get all these workers to come work on the house. So I guess that's kind of
I
how
guess
they
that's the
tie it
tie-in,
in.
yeah.
But yeah, I could have done without it.
Okay, so you found something that may have worked for that scene.
Yeah.
Explain the one
Oh.
where Alyssa's with George.
Oh, well, she definitely has daddy issues, obviously, and
Yeah.
he was almost her father. And she literally, I think, says in there, like, "Oh, I just had to do that so that I knew that I love Sam."
Which it's clunky.
Okay.
It's really
Take it-
awkward.
But teen
Check it
girls
out.
are
It's-
weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
We don't know how we feel.
But I think it just really leans into the fact she didn't really grow up with a father.
Yeah.
He was her only father figure. I know it's a little creepy,
A little?
I mean, I don't know anybody.
but I think it was her closing
It's a
that.
lot.
Closing that page.
Both are equally creepy.
They're
Yes.
gross.
I
Agreed.
think the movie could have done without both of those scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pull out that part. Pull out the whole thing with her and George, and I think the movie functions because then the focus is definitely going to be on the characters and on the progression and everything like that. And I get it. Yeah, to your point, the linchpin in getting Mary Steenburgen's character to pay for the workers is that she feels that guilt. But the possibility could have been that guilt could have come around in another way.
True.
There could have been a way to be like, he went out with her back in the day and she spurned him. She hasn't spoken to him in years. That would preclude the opening scene. We have to work our way around that. But then she could be like, no, I won't speak to him. He broke my heart. When the truth is she actually broke his heart. You could have done it more complex and deep so
only
that
thing I
finally
can-
she finds out that he's dying and goes, oh my God, I should have said something. I should have talked to him. I'm going to go talk to him now. She goes and speaks to him. They have a heart to heart and she says, I'm going to make this right. And he's like, you don't have to. There's no need. I'm going to build my house. She's like, no, I'm making this right. You'll see. And that's when the morning comes, and the daughter goes, "Why did you do this?" Because I've shut him out I've shut this man out of my life. I needed to get that off my shoulders. I needed to get that weight out of my heart. There's so many different ways you could have pulled that off that didn't require you to veer into the territory of
To
being
the
like,
ick.
yeah, this is inappropriate, and we are not okay with this.
I will say that scene is needed just for Alyssa's burn to her mom.
Yeah, that didn't work out. for that.
I want to put up a third. I want to pull a devil's advocate and have Aaron make it. Give me an alternative screenwriting. Okay, because of this relationship that none of us like, we conveniently get rid of biker guy.
Good.
He conveniently gets injured. How can we rewrite it so that we get rid of him without it?
He gets hit with a car.
He
I don't
went to
care.
jail.
I don't. Yeah, he goes to jail and he never gets out.
Yeah.
He is. Once his arrest and happens, there's no reason for him to come back.
Yeah.
He comes back in the end to earn the $20 an hour thing that he makes. And it's just, again, there's moments where you're just like, that is not, nope. There was no point. You're just doing a callback.
It is a fantastic moment that when he comes back to the home and it's like, well, do you need any help? And Sam says to him like, it's like $200 or something.
Oh,
it's the same amount that.
Yeah, it's like $300 for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, that was perfect.
But again, it's predicated on the scene that we don't like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Another scene we don't like.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's this idea in writing and movies where we shouldn't put in content that's objectionable or like problematic. Like, oh, well, you shouldn't have misogynistic characters in your stories. Well, then what the heck are we gonna do? Like, okay, we find another thing. Well, you shouldn't have that kind of a character in your
But
movie.
like it's real life.
Yes, but in this
life.
movie, in this moment, with the content and the characters we're playing with, I think we could lose that plot line, and we could find a way, because the joke's a one-note joke. It's not even, it's there and then it's gone. Then we're moving on, and you don't like to Phil's point. You don't lose much if you take out certain pieces of this and you just keep it going. The movie flows a heck of a lot better than it did.
It would have made it shorter too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I would have appreciated.
You want to get back to some Mortal Kombat.
But I do also feel like when he says that, it's like Sam finally standing up for himself too, and
Yeah.
not
True.
just
Oh yeah.
just going
Yeah,
with
and he-
whatever this guy tells him to do.
True.
But it's just with jokes though, and he
I
gets
know, but it
one
was
on
a
each of
good
them.
burn.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
Okay. Hayden is moved, is what I made a note about when he has his tears. The power of these two together on screen is beautiful. Like, I love Hayden and Kevin Kline acting together. I think it really, really does. You wonder if Robin knows that he's dying, because she checks his back at one point, and she kind of has that look on her face, like something's up. Like, she doesn't know what, but she's certain it's not his back.
I mean, you can literally see his ribs.
Yeah.
Like, he has lost so much weight.
What they talk about in this in the movie notes in the trivia is that Kevin Kline did lose a weight to be able to portray someone who was dying.
Just worry about actors who go through this, and you hope.
Yeah,
that
well,
method
there's a reason why they've in the last couple of years they've really pushed back on that. An interesting side note is that Lindsay Lohan was in the running to be Alyssa.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I don't think it would have worked
No.
either.
Really?
It would not have worked out
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, this was still, she was still like in the Disney World and everything like
Yeah,
that.
she was
Parent Trap.
getting
And,
big.
Yeah. So it wouldn't have worked. Jenna Malone, at least she's a little quirky as an
And
actress.
she's like the girl next door,
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
Spark.
So this, yeah,
I don't know. I think about Lindsay Lohan and Mean Girls, and I go,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Maybe it would have helped her a little being in
Be a little,
Maybe.
yeah. Disney has not been great to
I
like
think what else here?
teen actresses.
Okay, so this is the other part of the movie that we could have done without, and I know why they exist, and it makes me angry. So in the end of the movie, towards the end of the movie, when he's in the hospital, and his son shows up, and he says, "Oh, I want to show you something," and wheels his hospital bed open, and there's the house. House is convenient. Hospital's convenient. No.
Don't think it's that big a deal.
I don't either.
well, it's
Because the joke was that the lights could shine so bright you could see them all over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
camera
but
or
that's
whatever.
a cheap payoff.
Not that.
It's like, this is the reason why I think the ratings on Rotten Tomatoes were a little lower than we expected, because there's certain moments where you're just like, okay, we're coincidenting our way out of
I
this
mean, yes,
movie.
there's certain moments. I
Yeah.
just don't think this is one of them.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal to me. And it's 2001. I mean,
Don't give them a discount because of the year. They have been having great Hollywood writers for the last 50 to 100 years. They could have written that better.
Phil, what did you think?
We'll agree to disagree.
it
I
didn't
guess.
bother me. I did think it was
Apparently
cliche.
I'm the only one bothered by terrible writing.
I thought it was cliche. I'll agree with you.
Okay,
but
cliché
it
is-
wasn't
I'll
like
take that.
it wasn't like I wasn't angry.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay, here we go. Like,
Yeah. Okay, so I had to go home and pick up, or not go home, I had to go to my school studio and pick up more microphones. So I missed the ending of this movie. So you three have to walk us through the end of the movie and talk about what happens, and if it was a good ending, if it was a bad ending, what it was.
okay, well, to get to the ending, we got to talk about why George hates, one of the reasons why he hates his father.
Okay.
So he explains to
Sam.
Sam some things that his father has done, and his father had
Oh yeah, I forgot about this part. Yeah.
was a drunk driver.
Yep.
And crossed the double lines, and he killed a family oncoming,
And his mother.
and
His mother,
his mother.
who is abusive too as well.
Yeah.
Just
And so when the house is finally built, they, after everyone comes together and burns that one neighbor one good time for trying to get them to stop building it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sam decides that he is going, and after his father passes away, he finishes the house.
Mm-hmm.
And he decides that he is going to go to a survivor of
The little girl in the car.
of the wreck from I guess it would have been his grandfather caused, and gives her the house.
Because originally George obviously wanted Sam to have the house, but
Yeah.
he thought this would be a better way
Yeah.
of giving back to this little girl
Yeah.
that his father had thought about all the time since the day that had happened.
Yeah.
So here again, I know I've said this a lot, but they keep doing these full circle moments
Yeah.
in this movie.
Yeah, and I think that's the power of the writing of this film is that they it's not like a MacGuffin where it just appears out of nowhere and fixes the problem. Convenient hospital is convenient, being the exception. But most of everything plays through and pays off, and has that moment in the sun where it's like, yeah, this is, we earned this. We didn't just do this as a cheap whatever. This was an earned moment because we told this story, and that's been resting in the consciousness, and here it is, and now we've got it. So I think it's a good movie. I will say it's not great because there's a couple, there's the scenes we talked about that we would just be like, get them out.
Yeah.
And there is a bit of the plot contrivances towards the end.
I think it deserves a higher rating than it got.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's like a
47%.
Yeah, that's robbery. But I think to close it out, what do we think about Hayden Christensen's performance?
Amazing.
Yeah. Overall, great.
Phil?
It's Anakin. But now that I think about it, since this came out before,
Yeah.
About the same time.
This is my theory. Okay. So this movie, he was directed to be that way on purpose.
Yeah.
In Star Wars, like you said, maybe he didn't have that direction, so
Or
he
had
just
bad
used.
direction.
So he just used what he knew from this movie, and that's why they're basically the same
I mean,
character.
because
Got
they're
it.
both teenagers and they're both
Yeah.
Angsty.
angsty.
Yeah.
But now that's my theory, and it makes more sense. So.
And could he have possibly been doing them at the same time, like filming both of them at
That's
the
a
same
thought.
time? And maybe he couldn't just change
Yeah.
changes. He's like, you know what? I'll just do the same thing for both. But one works and one maybe doesn't.
Okay, so what was the third Star Wars movie called?
Revenge of the Sith.
That was the last one. What was the third one then?
I have no idea.
Revenge of the Sith.
What was the second one?
That's Clone Wars.
Okay, so Star
Phantom
Wars.
Menace
Okay.
1, Clone Wars 2,
Clone
Revenge of
Wars
the Sith
release
3.
date prequel, because I'm trying to figure out the exact release date. If I could actually type prequel, come on. Oh, it's pulling up the TV series. Oh, okay. The Clone Wars premiered on August 10th, 2008.
You're thinking of that must be the cartoon or something.
Maybe just do episode 2.
Star Wars Episode 2. Because
Yeah.
maybe I'm
Maybe.
wrong. Maybe.
Yeah, because he wasn't in Phantom Menace. That was the boy.
It
He
was
was
Jake Lloyd.
the
Okay,
little
so
boy, I think.
Star Wars Episode 2 was 2002.
That sounds more right.
So it was released.
Like a year apart, maybe?
Yeah. So
They're pretty close together.
I'm looking at dates here.
But I feel like Phantom Menace came out earlier. Like I remember
Release date May 16, 2002 for that, and then Life as a House.
2001 is what I saw.
I gotta figure out the date. Hold on. This is why I Google Life as a House release date. I gotta make sure I Google stuff before the show. Otherwise, it makes it really awkward and amazing and everything else. November 9th, 2001. So a year apart,
Yeah.
or a little less than a year. So November and then May.
It makes sense. There would be overlap then.
So yeah.
So that explains a lot.
Yeah, it does. Well, and I think that's to your point is that he used that character that he had just played as the best reference as he could.
Yeah.
But it also speaks to your director and your writers and
Yes.
giving you not great lines and not great direction. And Lord love George Lucas, but he has not had a great track record since he started back up and directing again when he did the Star Wars prequels and things like that.
We didn't know better at the time. At the time, we're like, oh, the original. And then we're like, ooh.
Yeah, not so much. So it's interesting. I think there's been a lot of talk recently with Hayden Christensen's return to Star Wars. He's back in Ashoka. He was back in Obi-Wan. He was back in that. A lot of talk about how much he didn't deserve what he got from fans in the past, from when the original prequels come out. So I think when we can look at this movie and we can see him like in the right mindset and being directed competently and getting good scripts and getting he's an incredible actor.
Yeah.
He's got skills. Really, I wish I had seen him in more, and I will try and see him in more now that I've got this impression. But Life as a House, I would give it I guess we'll do it out of 10. So contemplate on your ratings while I try and decide mine. I would say for me, actually I'll do it two ways. So I would say film as it exists now, 7 out of 10. So 70% gets a C. If we remove the scenes we talked about, if we lose some of the subplots, it could easily be an 8.5 to a 9.
I agree.
Because it would it would stick the landing. It would really be a movie like, okay, I want to watch this again. Oh my gosh, I'd love to watch this. Like, this would be a tradition to watch this movie because it is it is a conversation about family. It is a conversation about grief and mourning and loss in relationships and and it's really, it still holds up 22 years later.
Yes.
It's still a great movie. It's still when in the context, but when I take a holistic look at it, I'm like, 7 out of 10. Which is interesting. IMDb says 7.5 out of 10. So
I saw that.
I didn't glance at that until I said my rating, and I was like, oh, look at that. 47% on Rotten Tomatoes, and
it'd be interesting to know what the audience score is though compared to the critic score.
Yeah, it's probably I want to click on it.
Because sometimes they're really different.
Yes.
I'd give this 8 out of 10 for myself.
Audience score was 88%.
Huh? There you go.
On Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, so Phil, what would you rate it out of 10?
Oh, I agreed with you.
7 out of 10. Yeah. Get rid of the rest.
Maybe
of the stuff.
7.5.
Ooh, okay. Pushing the meter up a little bit.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to hate me because I'm probably going to give it a 9.
I was going to say 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Because I first saw this probably when I was like an early teenager, and then watching it again at 30, I had like a new perspective on the movie, so I'd totally give it a 9 now.
Okay.
I was watching this thinking it's a cool movie to watch like as an adult.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you have a significant other, like it's
it's different. It hits different, as the kids say.
Yeah, or didn't have teenagers, you know,
exactly.
where you're like, it just feels different.
Yeah. So we don't know what we're going to do next week on Nerds for Screenlight.
Wait. Arsenic and Lace. I wrote it down.
Arsenic and Old Lace. So yeah, we can. That's a comedy, so it's a lot lighter. Yes. It's a lot more fun.
But it's also dark, which is kind of appropriate for the month of October.
Yeah, there we go.
Boom.
We're bringing the spooky back. Apparently, we're bringing spooky back.
Yeah.
I'm doing a Timberlake.
See, I'm thinking Justin Timberlake. That's where I was going. Where were you going?
Sexy back.
That's where I was going.
Spooky. Halloween. All Hallows Eve. Put Timberlake in the count from Sesame Street's outfit, and you got your show. Bringing spooky back. We
will definitely have to do an episode on Five Nights at Freddy's when it
comes
out, because we owe it to our younger viewers to watch this movie.
And I love the game, so I'm really excited for the.
Yeah, you can have that. I'm not gonna. I'll be fast forwarding. I don't even know how many. I'll be like, I fast forwarded through the entire movie. I have no idea what happened.
I won't object to this.
It's animatronics.
Yeah,
but you know, my suspension of disbelief.
Suspension of disbelief when it comes to.
He's not kidding. It's bad.
For me, suspension of disbelief with scary movies doesn't exist.
Although, she really wants to see it.
I know. We'll figure that out. Okay.
We'll bring.
It could be a short segment.
Yeah, we'll do the thing. All right. Well, that has been the Nerds by Screenlight episode for today. Any last thoughts before we close it out?
Go watch the movie.
Yeah, go check it out.
Yeah, go watch Life as a House.
It's really good.
And look, I mean, what I'll do is I'll pick up that book here in a couple weeks. The 1999 movies were perfect. Because there was, and I think all of us were old enough to have watched a lot of those films. So what we might do is we might pick a couple of movies from that list and talk about them kind of in an overarching kind of sense.
Cool.
And if we get motivated, if we get interested, be like, maybe we watch one or two of the movies from that thing, we take a look at it. Because 1999 was an incredible year for movies.
The Matrix came out.
Yeah.
Oh, the Matrix.
True.
The Matrix was one. There's a bunch of others on that list, so we'll take it from there. All right, well, my name's Aaron.
I'm Phil.
And I'm Zoe.
Vicki.
And this has been Nerds for Screenlight. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening, and have a great rest of your whatever time of day it is in your world that you are in.
Goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.
The raspberry flapovers will be out in a moment. The kitchen is closed.
You've been listening to the Nerds by Screenlight podcast, presented by Create at Morgan Productions, located in Fort Morgan, Colorado, USA. For more information on our production house, other podcasts hosted here, and further details, please visit www.createatmorgan.org. You can find us on Twitter at the handle CreateAtMorgan. Create at Morgan is a school club at Lincoln High School, our alternative education campus in Morgan County. Our sponsor is Aaron DeLay, a language arts teacher at Lincoln. Send any feedback to adelayedteacher@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to our podcast.